and welcome to another episode of Inter Club India podcast, where we talk everything Inter, the transfers, reviews, previews, and everything in between. Today, we are going to review the match between Inter and Torino, and then talk a bit about the Champions League match against Real Madrid. What a shit show of a match this was! Like, if you just look at the scoreline and say 4-2, it looks good, but the match itself was a shit show. Shambolic defending, and I feel we were lucky to win 4-2. There was no clinical finishing from any of our players. Even the first goal that Sanchez scored, I feel Lukaku should have scored and he messed it up, and somehow through all drama, Sanchez just put it in. And after that, we just steamrolled Torino. But then again, I feel this is not good enough. What do you think? What did you make of the match?
Oh yeah, man. Like I'm just first of all to begin with, I'm just glad that we've won in the first place. I remember Manish pointing it out in the previous podcast that he'd take any sort of a win, and that's what I'm just glad with that we've won because this win is important for our confidence as a whole. Like we had only won one match in one match out of eight, and yeah, even though it was not the greatest of wins, like for majority of the match, 60 minutes at least we struggled. They were the better team, they sat back, they locked us out, and we like to what you said earlier, like in previous games where we have struggled, we've at least missed a lot of chances. This time we couldn't even create a lot of chances, like proper goal scoring ones in this match. So I'm just glad, like in the end, we somehow came through. Lukaku, he struggled initially. You could see he was losing a lot of duels. And it was really this thing frustrating to watch because Torino have been one of the worst teams in the league so far. Like they had 4 COVID cases going into the match. Belotti got injured in warm up, and then you let Zaza score out of nowhere. So it was really frustrating. So yeah, I'm just glad. So considering all those factors, I'm just glad we've come away with a win, and I feel this is just going to help us boost our morale going into the match against Madrid.
Well, Manish, as again now we just played for half an hour, the final half an hour of the match. That's when we came alive. 60 minutes was we are just dilly-dallying around. And Lukaku just said the same thing. He's like, we are not yet a great team, and we didn't play well for the first 60 minutes. And this seems to be the story. Like every match is the same thing. What did you feel like? Do you feel that there's a change coming, or it's going to be the same mentality of the players, like match in, week out?
So, Gotham, to start with, I think last week you asked me what, like Parmeshwar pointed out, what would you take? Would you take a 3-0 victory or you take any victory? I told you, like, I don't give a fuck if you score, like, if you take it 5-4, you take it, 3-2, as long as we get the 3 points. I'm so happy we got the 3 points. It was, like we always complain, luck is not on our side, luck is not on our side. This time, finally, we had some lady luck on our side. So why not take it? I accepted it with both arms. It was a tough result, but yes, you saw the reaction after the second goal. That is what impressed me. 1-0 down, we were losing it badly. 2-0 down. The moment the second goal came in, the moment we conceded the second goal, everyone faces like, that's it. We have to prove it right now because we have strong players. For some reason, they're not able to gel together. But I think after the second goal, everyone's eyes opened. Everyone started being more focused. Everyone started being more aggressive. And that changed the result. And also, I would point out that initial formation, I don't know what Conte was thinking. He used D'Ambrosio and Gagliardini. The moment these two went off, you could see the team. You could see the performance. You could see how players were eager to go. And also, what impressed me was uh, Sanchez playing in the Turkish role. That role, we put Eriksen, we put Vidal in the first half. Absolutely useless. Shambolic it was putting Vidal there. He created nothing. Vidal's more like a defensive warrior. You put him up front. What can he do? Nothing. The moment certain changes, like it's like pieces of the puzzle. Suddenly it all fixed on together rightly, and players performed. And what a reaction! I'm so impressed. I think when we scored the first goal, the second goal came immediately. Also, the third goal was coming. Like you could just sense it. Yes, the goal is coming. So Gautam, to point out, I'm not really upset with the result. I don't care if we won 5-4 or so. The reaction, that is what Because if we'd have won this 3-0, 4-0, I don't think the team would, the fighting spirit wouldn't come out. Now we saw the fighting spirit. Everybody saw, the coach saw, the players saw, and we should take this momentum from this to the Madrid game.
Yeah,
Brilliant
but
performance.
the fighting spirit, it should come against teams like Madrid or Barcelona or Bayern. With teams like Torino, you should just win the match in the first half and then rest players, right? I mean, having this comeback victory and being proud of this comeback victory against a team like Torino, and that shows that we are not ready for the big teams also, correct?
So Gautam, no, I don't agree that. Like if you check Mourinho's time also, we struggle against smaller teams like Siena and stuff. We were losing against a lot of times in Palermo. I think once under Leonardo, we were losing 2-0. Then Pezzini came second half. The most important is the reaction. We cannot take any games for granted. This is the Italian league. Every team is tough. Like Zaza, he never plays. When he plays against us, he scores. Or people like Ansaldi, all of a sudden he turns into a genius. He turns like Sadio Mane, he dribbles, he crosses with left foot, he crosses with the right foot. So what I'm trying to say is, this is the Italian league. No team we should take for granted. We should always put a best 11 every match. And most important is the reaction. It's not like once we're 2-0 down and then we sulk and no, it's after that they showed the reaction. So I'm happy with the reaction. Performance, yes, I was disappointed in the first half, mostly with Conte's tactics and formation. I wasn't happy with the players he chose in the lineup. That I had an issue with. But once the right players were playing on the field, it was a really good game from then on.
Yeah, and Parmeshwar, as Manish said, in Serie A, you need to put your best team week in and week out. What do you make of the lineup that Conte chose for this match? Like De Vrij on the bench and then starting D'Ambrosio, Ranocchia, and Young.
Yeah, like again, like I agree with Manish because just before we began the podcast, we were having a chat about this. Like yes, they've just come back, from the international break and all, but it's not that you play them one game and like there's a high chance of injury or they're gonna get really exhausted to play Real Madrid during the week. I rather feel that they needed this game time like De Vrij, Skriniar, and you can't take anyone in Serie A lightly. Like as Manish pointed out, you see right now the Serie A standings. Who's on the top of the table? Sassuolo. Of course, Milan are yet to play, but this season, especially, I know Torino have not been good, but when you're not in form and you're losing so many games, you have that fire to win a match. Like how Parma played against us. They were not winning a match, and then they had the fire to at least get a draw. Like we had to claw and get a draw for ourselves. So I personally felt that this I did not I find myself agreeing with the lineup because it's like you're feeling D'Ambrosio and Ranocchia and then Gagliardini in midfield. It's like a recipe for disaster, in my opinion. At least, if not, if you want to rest Skriniar, I personally felt you could have fielded Matteo Darmian because he's pretty solid. He has a better reading of the game than D'Ambrosio. Yes, he's not fast, but he knows when to push up. When to he knows in which zones he has to move. So I would rather have Darmian at right centre back because he's very versatile. He's good with both feet. He literally plays left wing back, right wing back, any in the 3-man defense. So I'd rather have Darmian, Ranocchia, Bastoni maybe. And yeah, I was just and then like I was speaking to Manish before as well. This is a match. I know we have our thoughts about Eriksen, and everyone has different thoughts about it. But like yet again for Denmark, he continued to play well, and then at least if not against Real Madrid, why couldn't he start today? Like it's not that Gagliardini did something special. He was just average yet again. Just running up and down the pitch. Maybe Eriksen's lob through balls. Maybe they would have unlocked a goal for us earlier on. Who knows? But why not this game at least? And then what frustrated me personally was that you could see him warming up in the second half. Yes, his substitutions today worked. Whatever he did, he played Sanchez as the trequartista later on. It worked. Fair play to him. But you could see Eriksen warm up and then he didn't even come up, and you had Raja Nainggolan instead coming in, which is I was very surprised because if Conte personally claims that Nainggolan is not even fit right now, nowhere near to the physical conditions he demands, then how has he ended up on the pitch before Eriksen? So I had my doubts about the lineup and the Raja Nainggolan substitution, but it is what it is now. We've got the win, and I guess that's what matters in the end, right?
Yeah, and the Eriksen situation, like if he's playing against Madrid, I'm guessing he'll start against Madrid. But then again, he's not playing regularly, and then you put him against Madrid, he might not perform. and then it will be like, oh, see, Eriksen doesn't perform for Inter. So it might become like a two-edged sword for us. And Eriksen probably might be leaving in Jan, because even Morata just said, we'll see what happens. He didn't give a convincing answer that Eriksen is going to stay. Do you think that's a situation now? And they've decided he's going to leave in Jan anyway, so no use playing him in these matches?
Yeah, man. Like, I personally, to begin with, I just feel bad for the guy. Like, as you said, he didn't play today, and maybe surprisingly he starts against Madrid. Who knows? But that's a bit too much of a stretch, I feel, because if he is not starting against Torino, and then as you pointed out, starting him against Madrid, that's a gamble. And then if he doesn't do well, fans would pick on him. They would be like, we give Eriksen the chances. He's already an established player. We expect him to deliver. But then you need to give him consistent games for him to be confident to play, right? And you can just see the difference he makes for Denmark. He was so proactive while playing for them, and when he comes here, it's like he's a bit demotivated because of the current situation. So if you don't play him, it's an issue, because he's asking for game time. He wants to help the club. He wants to be the protagonist, but he doesn't get the chances. And let's say if he starts against Madrid somehow and it doesn't work out, he doesn't do well, then Conte, as you said, or the fans, they'll be like, I played Eriksen, I did the part, but where was he? He didn't do anything. So it is a dilemma. And coming to the January situation, honestly, I'll continue backing the guy until the Mercato ends, because I personally want to see him do well. But I think he's gone. Like, I think he's as good as gone, because he's been making open comments that he wants to play, but I don't think Conte perceives it in the right way. He probably thinks that those are jabs or offensive comments. Because Conte always says, I pick the team for the good of Inter. He always says this same line every interview. I pick a team for the good of Inter. And yesterday, if you see in the pre-match conference, a journalist questioned him twice about Eriksen. First, he asked him that, why do you not play him as Regista, what Cassano suggested. He didn't answer it. He dodged the question. And then the same journalist asked him over and over again, so he had to answer it. So it's like he wanted to dodge the Eriksen question. He then said that, if I play Eriksen as a Regista, his qualities won't be utilized to the best extent possible. And and he's like, he can't do well in that role. But that's what baffles me. He just dismissed Eriksen's, repositioning ability so easily. But when somebody asks him about some other player like Gagliardini, he'd rather try to give a better answer and try to justify why Gagliardini can play multiple roles. So that's what baffles me. So I feel that he pretty much thinks he can't do much more with Eriksen, or he never wanted him, whatever it is. So yeah, I feel bad for the guy, but I think he's gone. Like, there have been rumors of us maybe doing a swap deal with Xhaka or Leandro Paredes. Doesn't really inspire me, those names. But again, it's up to the coach, right? Like, what can we do, right? We're just fans. We can't get what we want all the time. So I as Biasin said recently, I really hope it works out somehow. Some miracle, Eriksen and Conte works out together in the last moment. I really hope this guy stays and doesn't leave, but I guess he's gone. That's what I feel here.
Yeah, Manish, same question to you as well. Like, even Lukaku, he said Eriksen needs to learn Italian and he needs to adapt more. I think that's a lame thing to say, that if you don't know Italian, you can't gel well with the team, because Lukaku knows English. Even Young knows English. To communicate with him, he can speak in English, and that can act as a positive thing when you're playing against other Italians in the league who might not know English. So you can communicate much more freely, knowing that the other players might not understand. But then the excuse of him not knowing Italian, do you think that's a valid one, or what do you think is happening here?
See, Gautam, I will take a different approach here to what Permission takes. I'm also a big fan of Eriksen. Don't get me wrong on that. I like Eriksen, but something doesn't seem right. If he's a quality player, why not Conte would use him? It comes back to the old scenario where we had Gabigol, like the biggest Brazilian talent, Gabriel Barbosa, and we wanted, the fans were begging him, why use him, use him. I think after Gabigol, now comes the next scenario of Eriksen. Obviously, Eriksen being a world-class, reputed and proven player. Gabigol is not proven yet. But what the point is, there's something the coach is seeing. See, coach is with the players 24/7. We have a coach, we have training staff, we have a fitness trainer, everything. And they're monitoring players week in and week out. It's easy for us fans to comment, oh, why not using this? Or why not using that? But I feel if we trust Conte as a coach, as long as he has the job, he has his reasons why he's not using Ericsson. Maybe something is not gelling, and maybe it could be as stupid as the reason which Lukaku said, like the language. Because for us, you see, he's in a foreign country, uh, Ericsson, new people, new place, new environment. It takes time to settle in, but language is really important for any player. Even Brazilians, when they go to England, they have to learn English to communicate. Communication is important part, because if you're not able to communicate with the teammates, you're not able to express your feelings, how would they understand? So although it might sound really stupid, but I think Lukaku has a point here, because Lukaku, I know from day one, he gelled well with the dressing room. He kept saying, "Me and Lautaro are good friends. We not only good on the pitch, off the pitch as well." So it's all small things make difference in football players. Yeah. So Ericsson has to get the confidence of the group, and not only that, confidence of the coach, and he has to work hard in training. Like I remember Zanetti saying that every training he trains like a Champions League final. How many people have the attitude like that in this modern day? Nobody has. So you should always be humble, put your head in the ground, and work hard. Yeah, obviously a chance will come. If you're a quality player, that will you will get a chance. So Ericsson, so far, I don't know why he's not been clicking, and I don't think he's going to start the Real Madrid game. You two guys are quite positive he's going to start, but I really think Conte will still stick to Gagliardini. The only reason why I think he likes Gagliardini is the physical presence. With his height, he can win headers, and corners and stuff for defending corners, and more the physical presence. So when Gagliardini is not playing, we have shorter players. Barella is quite short. Vidal is quite short. Bringing Ericsson again, I don't think how Conte likes that huge physical guy in the middle. So he had Pogba at Juventus. So that type of player he wants in center of the park. But uh, I'm not a big fan of Gagliardini, and that's what we saw today. The moment he removed him, the team shined. But saying that for Ericsson, yes, he's a very good quality player. But if we don't know how to use his potential well and good for the team, there's no point putting him in off position. And it's better to sell him off then, because if you keep unhappy player every week, I think this is going to explode. This topic is going to increase day by day. Every week they're going to ask, why not use Ericsson? Why not use Ericsson? So I think pretty much that guy's time is done at Inter. He's a good player, but sadly we don't know how to use him. Like same thing happened for Coutinho, same thing happened for Andrea Pirlo, Seedorf. So we lost a lot of talents over the years, similar position players, which we don't know how to make use of that quality player. So bad luck to us, I'd say.
Yeah, and like you said, next is against Madrid. The first leg, I mean, we were all saying as long as we don't get hammered, it's a good result. But watching the match, it was, and we should have won the game or at least drew the game. Real Madrid weren't that scary, and plus they are also not in top form right now. And I fully expect us to win the second leg here. So, what are your thoughts on it? Like, do you think we have a chance?
See, I was just discussing with Parmesh this sometime back before we started. Last time we had similar scenario against Barcelona, where we know Barcelona had nothing to play for. They rested all their A-listed stars. They bought a young team, and yet they beat us at San Siro. So let's not take this match for granted, thinking that Madrid is missing a few players. You know what? That's it. We're going to win 3 points. No, we had to work hard for it. And the sad part with seeing this current Inter is we only react after going behind. I don't understand why is that. It's like once we start losing 1-0, 2-0, then the actual Inter starts coming out aggressive. Why don't we be aggressive for the first minute? That is something Conte has to look into it. And see, Gotham, this is a Champions League game. And Real Madrid, if any team has most experience in this competition, is Real Madrid. So inspired, they feel the B team or C team or D team, I don't know what, they will perform. And we should not take this match for granted. We should work like, everybody should play the best game. Then we have a chance. Because I know they're missing a lot of the main players, but still there's Luka Modric, there's Tony Cruz, they all are going to start. And there's Vinicius Jr., we saw his pace. So although they're not the main first choice players, like Modric is pretty much been a substitute player this season, but don't take Madrid for granted. They'll be really stupid and really foolish out of us. We need 3 points, yes. So I think Conte should feel the strongest team he has, starting with the back three of Skriniar, De Vrij, Bastoni. These three have to start if we want any chance. Because center of the park, pretty much, I don't think he's going to use Ericsson again. He will use the same three as today. The only difference will be Lautaro is going to start and Sanchez will be off the bench. But saying that, Gotham, this match is a do or die. Inter has to take it seriously. We have to win. We have to take the initiative, and we have to strike the first goal. Because all the games I think we have seen so far is like we have started off in the back foot, and that really is backfired us.
Yeah, Parmeshwar, as Manish said, it's a do or die match for us, and we are always reactive. We are not proactive at all. We always go behind and
Mm.
wake up in like final 20 minutes and then score goals. Like if we go with this mentality, what we showed today against Madrid, I don't think we will come back. If Madrid score 3 goals, I don't think we'll win 4-3 and then be like, what a comeback again. But what are your thoughts on the match? Are you feeling positive? Do you feel like we can do it?
Yeah, yeah. I am a bit positive, but I'd just like to point out, even if Madrid have a significant number of absentees, I was watching them against Villarreal the other day, and the squad is still pretty decent. Yes, without Ramos, they do struggle a lot defensively. They do concede and everything, and then Ramos won't be there. But that team is still pretty decent. It's still a team that can match our team at the end of the day. They have a talent like Odegaard, and then Vinicius Junior would be there. Hazard is there, even though he's not having the best of times, but it's still a pretty solid team to put up a fight. So yeah, as you and Manish pointed out, we can't afford to be so reactive. Like it's like happening almost every game. We concede and that's when we wake up. That's what Lukaku, as you pointed out, Lukaku said. I had read it as well. We are still not a great team. Like how many games can you afford to be reactive? It doesn't work in every game. You can't be so dependent on that approach. You have to take that first approach to yes get them and be clinical with your chances. If you attack them and if you're successful, then make your chances count. You can't waste them against a team like Real Madrid. And from this point, it's do or die. Like we just can't afford to lose any matches because the last 2 seasons we've been relying on other teams, in our group to do us a favor. This time we really have a chance. It's sort of in our hands. We win the remaining 3 matches. It's pretty much we are one of the teams going through. Even if we draw against Madrid, there's a chance, like by beating Shakhtar and Mönchengladbach, provided Madrid do us a small favor. But why leave it to their hands? Like why? It's been that for the past 2 seasons. We've been so hopeful in the past 2 seasons of other teams doing us a favor, and especially under an upgraded coach like Antonio Conte. No offense to Spalletti, we after having been through in the Champions League with him in one season, reaching the Europa League final, it's high time we learn from our mistakes. Come on, like it's all there to see. Like we do create chances. Today was a different story. We didn't create many chances in the beginning, but we can do it. It's like about having the right balance. If we take the proactive approach, or however we set up against Madrid, it's about having the right balance at the end of the day as well. Because you see, before Zaza got the goal today, there was instances where Handanovic had to make a few key saves. Where Hakimi made that error and he just passed it to, I think, Worthy. It was Simone Worthy, and Handanovic had to come out and save it. So it's like there's always something wrong on the either end. It's like either you fail to score, or if you're looking balanced, you make a defensive error. It's about now. It's just about getting the right balance for the match against Madrid and for the rest of the season. Just I hope whatever it is, 3-5-2, 3-4-1-2, whatever he wants to pick. I just hope that he, as Manish said, he picks whatever 11 he wants to at the end of the day, whatever he feels can get us the win. And yeah, I feel we have a good chance. Like Madrid is still beatable, even though they have the players. Like they do concede one or two silly goals. So yes, and I remember you and Manish pointing out this some maybe in the second podcast or something, that if you're playing Real Madrid, what else kind of motivation do you need? It's Real Madrid, right? And there's added motivation. This point, we are like last in the group, and it's a do or die situation. So what else do you need to motivate yourself? Like you look in the mirror and you can't think of anything else. Like Conte himself hates losing. Like he can't stand it. So what else? Like it's a do or die. Yeah, and I feel it's like yeah, we can get this game. I wouldn't liken it to the Barcelona game we played last season. Even though Manish made a pretty good point, he was pretty right in what he said. But I think this time the scenario is pretty different. So yeah, I think we can win this.
Manish, I have a tough question for you this day.
Yeah.
Do you think Conte's stubbornness will cost us? Like he doesn't change his tactics at all. He doesn't change his players, or him being so stubborn, choosing the same players, using the same tactics, will it pay in the long run of this season? Wherein like now players know that okay, they are going to start. These are the tactics. Conte is not changing anything, and they'll adapt soon enough, and then from Jan onwards we go on a winning run because of Conte's stubbornness of not changing.
See, Gautam, I would say like one thing. Conte is very stubborn. He's not going to change much. No matter what happens, he's going to pretty much stick to the same level unless some injuries happen. But getting victory like what we had against Torino, if we get a big result against Real Madrid, this will change the season. This will be the season changer. Because you know what the players think, what we beat Madrid, we can go on. They'll start believing. Right now, for last couple of matches, and we discussed on the last podcast that this international break was much needed because the players have lost their confidence, their body language gone. But the same players, when they play for the national team, they are like a complete new players. Why is that? So that itself, the atmosphere in Inter is quite negative to start with. So we need a big ass victory, something convincing victory, like Torino. Although we came back from behind, but now the players start believing, and they had to fight for the victory. Same thing against Real Madrid. If we get a very big victory, more big, I mean like convincing victory, maybe a 1-0, 2-0, convincing, a performance, good performance, this can change the season. Conte's not going to change. Let's make no mistake about it. He's going to stick to a three-man defense. But funny enough, I kept pointing out maybe in the first podcast or something, like in Juventus, he had two formations. He had a 4-2-4, which later went to a three-man defense. At Chelsea, he started with a four-man defense and then later moved on to three-man defense. So at Inter, he started off with a three-man defense, but he should be flexible enough. Because if you check Bastoni, De Vrij, Skriniar, all three of them in the national team played in a four-man defense and all played amazing, very good matches. So I hope Conte has taken his notes because a backline, they can play four-man defense. So why not use their strength? So at some point, I expect Conte to, throw in the towel and say, that's it, three-man defense doesn't work for us anymore. Why not shift to a four-man defense? And that unpredictability can take us to the next level because, coaches like Allegri, he used to rotate that. Sometimes any player gets injured, he used to shift to a three-man defense. Then he used to shift to a four-man defense. So that, used to confuse the opposition. Now pretty much, and anybody can, any small teams can figure out, put a long ball across our defense and that's it. They're going to score. Last time it was Gervinho, this time it was Zaza. And some things won't change because, when you play with the high line, it's easy to exploit our weakness. And we have a pretty slow three back line. Ashley Young is not very pacey like how he used to be. So we're going to get caught there. And against strong teams like Madrid, we had to be very careful.
Yeah, Parmeshwar. So again, back to you. Kind of a similar question. Do you think the stubbornness will work out in the long run or he has to change his tactics?
So to answer that, I'll just add to what Manish said, that unpredictability goes a long way in, I think, your team doing unexpected things and better things. I'll just give a simple example, the Europa League run we had last season, since the tournament resumed, it was 3-5-2, 3-5-2, 3-5-2 up until the final. And the same 11, he played D'Ambrosio at right centre back and he didn't play Skriniar at all, I remember. But I remember when it was the final, he stuck to the same 11. But when I looked at Sevilla's 11, where the semi-final against United, they benched their bench striker Luke De Jong. He's a target man like Lukaku. He didn't play. And, when he came on as a sub against United, he won them the game. He won Sevilla the game. So what did Julian Lopetegui do? He started Luke De Jong against us. He completely turned the tables around and he threw Conte off the game. So it comes back to what Manish said about unpredictability. Maybe had we started Skriniar in that final, had we started Eriksen instead of Gagliardini, maybe we could have won it, different things. And it's not only about players, it's about the formation and tactical approach as well, right? Because as Manish said again, Allegri, what does Allegri do? If let's say Allegri had taken us over, he would have, yes, continued playing 3-4-1-2 or 3-5-2, but eventually, as Allegri does, he would have changed the formation slowly as he does all the time. And he would have gone to a 4-3-1-2 or 4-3-3, whatever. I think 4-3-1-2 can be beneficial for us, as you don't play much of a high line and you have two centre backs, and these two centre backs we have, they are very good with a four-man defense, Skriniar, De Vrij. And yes, Bastoni, and I'm not saying you shun Bastoni out of the 11, but you can, of course, rotate. If you actually have Bastoni as a rotating option to Skriniar, De Vrij instead of the occasional Ranocchia, that's so much better, right? And I know Bastoni needs his development time, but I'm pretty sure he'll get it. And yes, Hakimi is not a right back per se. He's a wing back, and as same for Ashley Young, but it can work out. Come on, and let's say going along the same line, if somehow Ericsson stays, 4-3-1-2 again can be a formation that helps Ericsson settle in that. So yeah, it's like we are too predictable at this point. It's like, as you said, Gautam, or was it Manish? We're just hoofing the ball up to our striker, expecting Lukaku holds it up in every situation. We expect, even though I give him credit, like he literally does everything to win every duel. But at some point, he's going to lose one battle or two battles. Like he lost today against Torino. He lost quite a few battles, one-on-one battles, in order to hold the ball. It's going to happen. So we need to have that alternative approach, like there has to be some other dimension to it. Because then, teams are going to figure us out. Now, after Madrid, we play one of the best teams in the league, Sassuolo so far. They are top of the table. They're dangerous. You think they've not figured us out? De Zerbi is a smart coach. He knows what we are going to do. So it is time. Like I remember saying this previously as well. It's time. It's like, if Conte says I want to work in the best interests of Inter, then this is part of it. You adapt. You expect players to adapt to your philosophy, but you also have to at times throw in the towel and see the light that sometimes these tactics don't work. And he's done it before, as Marie said. 4-2-4 at Juventus, and then 3-4-3 at Chelsea to adapt Hazard. To adapt Eden Hazard. So why not here? Why that stubbornness? 3-5-2 to 3-4-1-2 is not much of a difference. So yeah, I think today was a good day. It was like, even though not like the most convincing of wins, but we got a win. But it just shows that you need that alternative approach. Otherwise, you're too predictable. Torino locked us out. So I really hope, even though he's very stubborn, I really hope somewhere down the line as the season passes, he sees the light and, he realizes that the team we have can do it, and, he builds a team around, like he builds his tactics around that.
Okay, so Manish, prediction time. Like, what do you think will be the scoreline against Real Madrid? Knowing that Real Madrid won't come here to just sit back and defend, they'll also start attacking us. So, what do you think is the scoreline?
I would go for a bold prediction. I would say Inter win 3-1 this time. And this game will change our season. I think Ericsson may come off the bench and score a good free kick and stuff like that. And that itself will be a complete game changer. And this game, Gotham, mark my words, if we win this convincingly, it will change the season. From now on, we'll see a new motivated Inter, provided if we win this game. So I'm expecting a good victory, 3-1 win. Yes, that's my prediction.
Parmeshwar, like, what's your prediction for this game?
Yeah, I mean, whatever Manish just said sounds so perfect and rosy, and I really wanted to be like that. The situation changes for Inter and for Ericsson personally. If he scores a goal or assists it, I really hope something like that happens. But yeah, coming back to the prediction, I say like a 2-1 or a 3-1 win. Yeah, I feel that I think after today, no matter how we've won it, we need to consider the fact that it was D'Ambrosio and Ranocchia starting. We were not going to start against Madrid. De Vrij and Skriniar, they would have realized from the mistake they made in the mistakes, especially De Vrij made in the first leg, and especially Hakimi also. I think he's going to be more motivated. So yeah, I think we are in for a better chance this time, and yeah, maybe a 2-1 or a 3-1 win.
Somehow, like, yeah, gut feeling says that we might win 3-1, but I think it might be a 2-2 draw from my side. Even though the gut feeling says we'll win 3-1, but I'm thinking it will be a 2-2 draw. All right, folks. So that was the episode of Inter Club India podcast. What do you think? What do you think will be the scoreline against Real Madrid? Do you think Conte is too stubborn to change his ways? And will the players adapt if Conte changes his tactics? And will this be a turning point in our season? Do let us know in the comments. Thank you.